Joining me on the line, she is from the Disney Discovery. Can you imagine if it was Disney?
I was like, this should not be on Disney.
Can you imagine, though? For the Discovery series True Conviction, Season 3 is out now on Discovery Plus. Ladies and gentlemen, Anna-Sigga Nicolazzi is with me. And Anna, I've been scared all morning of trying to say your name correctly.
Well, you did a pretty good job, so you don't need to be scared anymore.
Yay!
Because it's not an easy one. There's no Mary Sue on this end of the line, so I'm used to my name getting chopped up quite a bit.
Yeah, but that's one of those things that, to me, it's like, oh, I really want to be able to say it right because you deserve it. I mean, no one deserves to have their name butchered, especially by some dude in Iowa, so.
I don't know. I appreciate it. It's not an easy one. You know, when my parents chose my name, and they certainly weren't thinking of me as a little kid.
Well, Anna, let's dive into it. You host True Conviction on Discovery, not Disney. Can you imagine
right.
Mickey Mouse on a murder scene, though?
No. This is not what we want our children watching.
So, True Conviction, Season 3 is out now. Now, your kind of whole home base in this is former prosecutor in Brooklyn, correct?
Correct. I was a prosecutor in Brooklyn for 21 years, and 16 of those I was handling homicides.
That's not the happy-go-lucky lifestyle a lot of people think it probably is, right?
No, it is not happy-go-lucky. You've hit it spot on there. But you know what? It is a life that is meaningful in the work that we're doing, and quite honestly, quite inspiring by the survivors and the people left behind in the wake of these crimes. That it really, in a strange way, while we're dealing with the worst of the worst, I always thought that it kind of gave me a renewed faith in humanity by what I see people can achieve even in the wake of such, awful.
This is going to sound bad, and it's not meant to be, but there's something fascinating about the true crime world, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, that is why these are channels and streaming services and hours of content that are dedicated to this, because this is what people, for different reasons, just can't get enough of.
It's one of those things you kind of start to dive into it, and you think, oh, this isn't going to draw me in, and then next thing you know, you're 4 hours deep into something,
Yeah, and people always say, well, is it right for this to be entertainment? And I think coming at it from my perspective, that is not what it's all about, and I'd like to think that's not why people are looking at it. Yes, they're fascinated, but they're looking at the pieces of a puzzle put together, and they are seeing, trying to wrap their head around how certain people can commit such atrocities against others, or, so drawn in to watch this family member talk about their loved one and what happened. So there's all these moving parts that are going on at the same time, and unfortunately it's not fiction, it's true life. So I think people are drawn in for different reasons.
Anna-Sigga Nicolazzi on the line with me talking about True Conviction. Season 3 is out now on Discovery and Discovery Plus. Okay, let me ask you this. You said that you were the prosecutor in Brooklyn for 21 years, 16 of that was homicide. We kind of set up that it's not the happy-go-lucky lifestyle. Why stay in this, and why keep going back to it for you?
I think it's truly my passion. Originally it was the pinnacle of being a prosecutor to be asked to be in the homicide bureau. Your job life is different every single day. Every case teaches you something new. There's a different challenge, so it's very interesting. But it's, for me, it was always very important work. And while that burnout factor started to creep in there, after 20 some odd years doing this, that I thought, for my own stress level, if you will, the weight on my shoulders, I needed to give that a rest, but I wasn't ready to leave the world. And so media became this natural extension. I talk for a living as a prosecutor. I explain these concepts to jurors. And now I just do that to the public, whether it's for True Conviction on television or the podcast with Anatomy of Murder. I care about these people. I care about these cases. And I want other people to learn about it too.
What came first, the podcast or the show?
The show. True Conviction is 3 seasons in, and they have, let us keep going strong, because unfortunately there are so many of these cases out there for the people to learn about. And then the podcast is much more recent. We began in October of last year.
Podcasting is fun, isn't it?
It is. It's one of those things that I was like, at first, like, what? A podcast? What is that? Besides the serial that I was sucked into right away, I enjoy it. As you certainly for radio, there is something about just talking that which comes into your mind that if you are so inclined, it's a fantastic way to get your ideas across.
Anna-Sigga Nicolazzi joining me on the line, talking about all of her ventures. We'll have links and stuff at the bottom of the page for all of this. Going back to True Conviction, how did you get into it? Did they kind of call you? Did you have the idea for the show? What was the genesis of this?
So it started that over the years, I was often interviewed on my own cases, and then I started commenting on other nationally recognized cases that were out there because of being in New York.
Yeah.
And one thing just kind of morphed into another. And someone that I knew from my years of being interviewed myself, Scott Weinberger, his company, Weinberger Media, produces True Conviction. We really just started talking about what would I want to do. And for me, it was important to kind of stay true to myself as a prosecutor, which is talk about that which I know, which is from the prosecutor's lens. And discovery and investigation discovery became a great partner because they gave me that opportunity. It didn't have to be a certain slot of a type of case. They really left me open to go out to all these places around the country, which I'm so fortunate to do, and really just bring these different types of cases to the screen on television. So it really just was this natural progression.
How do you guys choose the cases? I always think that's fascinating when I talk to people that host TV shows. Is it all stuff that you're interested in? Is it stuff that they say, hey, we want you to do these 3 cases and then, 5 other ones that you want to do? How does that work?
No, fortunately I'm able, and I'm pretty type A. I'm involved in all aspects of it. And unfortunately there's too many to choose from because there's so many of them. And so what we try to do is we pick different cases each season that are different from one another. One happens in a small town in maybe Montana, and the other is in a bigger city like Boston, and so that we can really show different aspects, because it also matters where these cases happen. People are different and cases are handled differently based on where they are. For example, where you are, it matters if I am in Des Moines versus Brooklyn versus small town Maine. And I want to show people that, all the country is highlighted in different ways.
It is an interesting thing. Like a good chunk of my family is in law enforcement or military. Like my dad, chief of police in a small town for 30 some odd years. My cousin is involved in the Ankeny Police Department. Then my other cousin is essentially kind of a SWAT team member out on the West Coast. So it is kind of interesting to see the different levels and the different how things kind of work.
Right. Just think about it for the closest to you, your dad's perspective as police chief in a small town. Well, his personnel is going to be different than personnel, for example, in New York City. But unfortunately, he has to do that same work on those cases that gets done here with different resources. So it does impact the way the work gets done. And I always thought that's really interesting to go to those places and talk to people on their home turf to really see how where they are impacts the work.
Oh, I can remember some stories as a kid, I'll tell you that much, Anna.
I am sure.
Anna-Sigga Nicolazzi, I know you got to get going here. What else you got coming up? Season 3's out now. The podcast is out there. What else you got going on?
Well, we're always looking for different things. Like you said, it's Season 3 right now. They can get the whole season right now on Discovery Plus. It's streaming, or for cable subscribers on Investigation Discovery Tuesdays at 9. But we're always looking to the next thing. And for me, it is this world of homicide. It's highlighting these in different ways. And so we'll see. We're figuring out what's next, but I'll make sure that everyone knows as soon as we get there.
Awesome. Anna, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yep, you too. Bye-bye.